I don't want you to rely on what I'm going to say as a quote, because now I'm playing a game of telephone. Okay? But Daniel Cormier revealed a conversation that he had with Mick Maynard. I read that. Now I'm going to attempt to reveal that to you, which means I'm going to be way off. By the time Daniel said it, I'm sure it was off. And now I'm going to be way off. But Daniel has just asked Mick, hey, how come Blachowicz and Pereira isn't the title fight? And Mick answered him and said, well, it doesn't make sense. And Mick's answer had to do with, he said, Prochazka's coming back. Jamal walked away from it to do an interim championship now and identify a number one contender to then go for the undisputed title later. Now, let me just stop you there, because that's where I got confused. Wait a minute. Why would it possibly be for an interim championship? Like, interim championship had never even crossed any of our minds, I don't believe. We wouldn't do an interim championship. It would be for the belt that Jamal just gave back. Okay. Now, we can set those comments aside, but let's take a look at that, because that does spawn a little bit of a different conversation, which is, if you're not going to do a match for the belt, does Jamal regret giving it back? I mean, Jamal Hill did this out of absolute sportsmanship. He did this out of kindness. This was the worst news and day. He's playing a game. He's doing this basketball thing. He's being part of fight week. And the great irony is he is a basketball player. So for him to be hurt playing basketball while everybody else is, I mean, it's just one of these ironic situations. Guys that don't know how to play ball weren't hurt, but the guy that does, I mean, it's just one of these things. But it happened. And he realized, in spite of that's tragic news. Tragic news. And don't forget, just from a financial standpoint, if you're the champion of the world and you headlined a card and you're on a pay-per-view, you're still just on what your contract was. You could have fought somebody else and it not been in that spot, but that's what your pay is. Now, once you become champion and you go defend it, now you're talking about the most sweet spot of any clause of any contract in all of MMA, being part of the participation in pay-per-view. But he didn't have that. He didn't defend the belt. So, I mean, this is one of these things. I mean, this is a really hard thing for Jamal. And in spite of how hard that was, out of sportsmanship, out of seeing I was only in this spot, I was only even given this opportunity because the guy that was hurt, who could have sat on it, didn't. In Prochazka, he gave it back, which created an opportunity for me to see my dreams come true. Now I'm in the same spot of Prochazka. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to give the belt back. Incredible stuff. I mean, that's incredible stuff. But if he was armed with the information that they weren't going to do the match, they weren't going to give the opportunity, would have he given him back the belt? No, of course not. Of course not. No, there's no way for him to have known that, by the way. But of course not. He only did it so there would be an opportunity. He did it full well that you got Pereira and Blachowicz, who are both former world champions. We know that they can win world titles. We know they deserve opportunity. We know they've been there before. We know it's the hardest match that's currently signed. I mean, he did that in full knowledge. I'm sure believing that it would be crowned. But it was said that it wasn't, and there was, even within the comments, which I can't guarantee that these quotes are right. You know, when you start playing this game of, well, this is how the conversation went. I understand those things, but the mere fact that the word, hey, you know, if and when we do it prior to Prochazka or Jamal coming back, is going to be interim. As soon as you do that, if you're in Jamal's spot, you're, why did I give the belt back? You could do an interim. If it's going to be interim, you could do an interim. And I could have kept my belt. It's just a very different situation. It was done with all good intention. But what do you guys think about that? And I do like the theme And I do like the respect being shown to Prochazka. I also have come to respect Prochazka. Now, I feel as though the division has forgot about a guy named Rachik. By the way, who's nursing an injury that's just about healed, and he's going to be coming back. So you're talking about Jamal coming back once he gets better. You're talking about Prochazka coming back when he gets better. You're talking about Rachik, who's a player in that division, all coming back. I mean, it's just a very different spot. You know, some of these opportunities that you think you're going to get again, you're not going to get again. There's some guys that are in the exact same situation, and when it's come to decision day, and a mandate of the masses of the people in which direction are they going to go and who thinks they've got the stronger case. Some of you have the exact same case, but there's only two guys. We're not doing a triple threat match. So one guy gets left out. I'm just saying it's a very big risk to take. And how long's he out? You know, he rolled an ankle, something along these lines, something with the ankle. I don't know a ton about ankles. I've seen some real bad ankles. I've seen some guys tape them up. I haven't heard of an ankle being career ending. I'm by no means dismissing that. I'm sharing with you my experience. I haven't heard of that. I haven't even heard a rumor that it is potentially even career ending. I've heard that for sure he will be back. But in the meanwhile, we're going to get on with it. He's giving the belt back. And I only bring that to you because we're talking about Prochazka. Prochazka's going to come back. Prochazka's been looking good, putting some videos out. He's in training. Wait a minute. It was just December of last year. We were told that it was the worst shoulder injury ever seen. So how did we get to this point? It hadn't been that long. Right? December, it was the exact same car. The exact same car that Prochazka came off of and gave the belt back is the exact same car that Duplessis was undercard and got pissed off and was trying to get TV time for him. And just to put in perspective, in that same time, which wasn't much, Duplessis became a #1 contender. And so in that same short time that we're talking about, Prochazka, the world's worst shoulder injury, is healed. Maybe. I can't go that far. Nobody said that. If he is healed, I imagine you'd book him. Says he's getting ready, but they haven't booked him. It's just one of these weird positions, right? Where I don't think we were ever owed the fact that he had a shoulder injury. I think that that's private information. If he chooses to make that public, I mean, by all means, go right ahead. But once you do choose to make that public, we now are part of it. We are now part of it. What, is it healed? If so, according to who? Are you going to be back? If so, when? What are the ideas? And it's this really weird vortex of extremely limited information in the entire division. I mean, the entire 205-pound division, we don't have a great sense of clarity anywhere. And now a discussion perhaps was had. I have to keep saying that, right? I respect McMahon. I really don't want to come out here and misquote him. But the fact that if and when we do get on with it, it will be in an interim capacity, if that in fact is accurate, to me is very interesting, because it does then put the onus back on Jamal to go, wait a minute, what? That's not why I did that. I did this move. I did this sacrifice. I did this. So there's a lesson here somewhere. Somewhere there's a lesson. What is it? Is it, hey, we're the organization. We'll take our belt back when we want our belt back. You don't take our belt back any more than you take our belt and put it around your waist before you earned it. Is that the message? Was this the wrong move by Jamal? Was this unilateral and he did this online? Did he make calls to the office? Like, what exactly happened here? And why did it happen? If he made those calls and the office didn't push back and say, hey, hold on to it, kid. If they didn't do that, if they accepted, knowing that they weren't going to contest it, I don't think that's right. And I would wonder, hey, Jamal, now that you know they're not advancing that match to a title fight, if you were armed with that information a couple of weeks ago, would have you walked away from the belt?